Hello there, and welcome back to another video. Now, in genealogy, it's traditional that at some point or another we will have some form of change to a website that we use on the daily, be it maybe a new website for a new collection, or things just might get changed around. I know Ancestry does that from time to time. The homepage gets changed around, but this time, it is the Irish Census website on the National Archives of Ireland. So this video is going to go through what's new and how to find the new things that had been on the old site because things have been changed a little bit. So this shouldn't be too long, but I figured it'd be worth going through anyway. So now that I pulled up the website, let's take a look. So any links to sites, I will try and remember to link down in the description. If they're not there, they should be easily findable by doing whatever I do here. So I've got two buttons here on nationalarchives.ie, their homepage, which is search the collections or search census records. Now, if I go to search census records, I will come back to this later, but I'll just stick with census records for the moment. So I can search the census records. Clicking this will take me down to the search form. But if I just scroll down slightly, we've got bits of history and just information on the 1901, the 1911 census, the censuses of 1821 to 1891 in terms of the background information on them, the census search forms, and the statistics on corrections to the census data that have been made. So I've got little bits of history about the census down here, but I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to go to the census search form. So this form only does 1901 and 1911. So if you want 1821 to 1851 fragments, you will click on this and it looks the same thing, but you can see it says search the census. That's century 19, so it's 19th century. I will scroll down and I've got search the census records and I can pick a year from there. But I'm just going to stick with 1901 for the moment. So this, although it's got a different layout, it does have some new tools that might be handy to you. So under the census here, I'm going to do 1911. Now, I'm going to do my great-grandfather John, but I'm going to purposely leave some things out to demonstrate how you can do things. I'm not going to put in a county. I'll leave out the town and the street. I know he's about, I think, 34 by this point. I know he wasn't quite on point with his age, but just to kind of help me filter down a bit. And male. And on this, you've got, and these are the more search options that you would see when you went to search on the old site. You used to click a blue button in blue writing that said more search options. And now you got these bits, so I can choose if it's a head of family, a servant, a cousin, or something else. Religion, literacy, occupation. So if I wanted to look for any John Loftuses that were farmers, I could type that in. If I knew they were married or single, I know at this point my John is married, so to kind of reduce the number of results I get, I'll do that. County or country of origin, so you can go by counties if you knew that they were from a certain place, or countries, you can choose any of these if you, again, knew that they were from somewhere else. Language proficiency, so again, you can do Irish, and English, or other. And if they had any specified illnesses and particulars as to marriage, so you can choose, how long they've been married. So you can do like a little up arrow, or you can go down and you can choose. At this point, John had only been married 2 weeks, so I will leave that out. They haven't had any children yet, so that's not going to pertain here. So I will just click search with the information that I have. And this is the search results page that I get. So I get 14 results based on the criteria that I have stated here in these little black boxes. So one of the things I liked was I could show all information. So you can see here that the each result is now like a little box, and you can just click into it as you could on the other one. I can click show all information, so I can just have a glance of the transcript from here. Um, and keep going down and down, whatever. So then we get more filtering information here. So I can go county. So maybe, okay, Mayo could be mine. And then after a little bit, it will filter out to Mayo. Uh, and obviously, if you don't want to look at Mayo ones or whatever one it is anymore, you just X out the criteria thing here. So that will remove Mayo as a filter that you've stuck in. And you can choose from one of the other ones if you want to play around with it a bit. The surname now Loftus, there aren't many variants at all, so uh, Loftus is kind of fairly standard. I did try a Smith surname earlier just to see if it would do SMYTH and SNITH, but I think when I did SMITH, it only gave me the options of choosing between a surname that was either Smith, as the way I put it in, or the surname Sixsmith. So you can kind of play around with that a bit as well. Townlander Street, so you can filter it if you knew that they were, for instance, do I have any that has more than one? I don't. Or no, I do. Chapel Street. So if I knew that they were on Chapel Street and I just wasn't sure, I click on that and I can see, oh, I got two. Which one is it? For in my case, it's none of these, so I'm going to clear that from my filtering. I got the District Electoral Division again. I can do a similar thing like I did with the Townlander Street. Age, I can do by decade now because I'd already stuck in an age. That's not really going to be much use here, as there doesn't appear to be anyone at the age of 29 in this search result. But if you knew that they were in their 30s or their 20s, you could again filter by uh, age range. Religion, again, you can choose if you want to filter it down that way. Occupation, again, if I wanted to look at all the farmers, which I knew John was, so it filters it, and I've got these. And let's see. So I've got county or country of origin. You can do county mayor or mayo. Just make sure you check both to ensure that you cover all your bases. And then the language proficiency you got here. Now, one handy little feature that they did not have on the old site is I can actually download my results and look at them later. So, for example, I did a John Smith and which I'll show you in a minute. But I have got 5 results here, so items per page 10. Now, if you choose 10, it'll only download the first 10 results. So if you have, we'll say, 57, you would want to change that to 100, then download the list. So when I download the list, I click on this button, and you can see it's downloaded a little file for me there, and I'll go ahead and open it. And there are my results. So I can see, okay, I've got John Loftus in Auchadiffen, one in Lisbrogan, one in Bunnahouna, one in Tucanana, and one in Ella Moore. So, and I can refer to that later on if I wish. And if I wanted to share a link to this particular search that I have conducted, I can press that and it says link copy to clipboard. So when I'm in a message with someone, I can just go, I can paste that in and I've got my search results here. So lovely. So taking a look at the results I have, I know that my great grandfather is this one, the Tucanana one. So I get a little transcript essentially of what I would have seen if I had pressed the show all information. Again, if I click download, I can get a download of this transcript on its own. I can press print and I can save this as a PDF. Or I again can link to this record quite easily. If I press this button, I can press that. And when I go in, it takes me to the same one that I was just looking at. So the images they put front and center. So Form A, which is the household return, is the census front here. So I can see I've got Michael, I got Ellen, and I got John. So, and I can look at the image there. Now, one thing to bear in mind, if you do have links to the return image or the return or the kind of the text search that I had done earlier, this part, those links will not work now because you can see the URL up here. being completely different to being under the census.nationalarchives.ie domain. It's completely different now. So that's not really going to help us. If you did have any links, you'll have to go back and relink them all in your tree or wherever you have them saved. So I'm going to go close out of that, and I can take a look at each one of the enumerated abstracts or the house and building returns that I got here, or the out offices and farmsteadings returns. And then if I go down here, the entire household return is separate, so they kind of swapped it weirdly. So the census return, the transcript of the entire thing is at the bottom of the page. And I can just slide along here and I can look at all the information here. And if I want to go onto the transcript for, or kind of the result page like this for somebody else, if I click on anywhere here on the row, so for example, this is for Michael Noon, John's father-in-law, I can get his version of this. So that's how this works. And for this next part, we will have to take a trip down memory lane to the Wayback Machine. Seems so long ago that this happened, doesn't it? I mean, this screenshot was January 28th, 2025, when this is still like this. But you may remember that we used to be able to browse the census in terms of being able to go via a certain year, a certain district electoral division, and then a subsequent street or locality that you wanted to just look through all of them for. Now, while it may appear to be the case that that went down when the other site, was changed up into this one, not the case at all. The browse has been moved down here. So it's now called search by location. So when you go in here to search by location, you have the same thing again, where you can browse by the years. So 1911, I choose a county, so Mayo. I choose the locality. Now, again, you can choose how many results you want on the page. The one I need is here, so I can go down, and I got Tucanana. And then it's Tucanana again. And then I've got an idea of who's in the house. So there's 425 in this. I believe they were house number 34. So I'm going to go down until I find house number 34. Yeah, here we go. Michael, Ellen, and John. So I can go a bit more and click into an actual person and then do the same thing down here. Choose a person that I want to look at, or just go back and choose another person as well. So this browse function, albeit again different, it has not disappeared. Again, if we take a look at the Wayback Machine again, you might remember that the National Archives had this site. It was sort of the genealogy side of things. So the valuation office, field tenure and quarter books, the will registers, which I used a bit, or the will calendars, the valuation office books. Again, you might think that has moved. It has, but it's not gone completely. Remember when I said that at the start I'd come back to this button later to search the collections? This is where it's going to come in handy. So when I click on search the collections, and I scroll down here, I've got census records, decade of centenaries, court records, and I've got a load of different things. That old site where you saw all the different collections is now the genealogy website. So now when you go down, you've got all the things that happened there. So let's say, for example, I want to go to the calendar of wills and administrations. I can click on that, and it takes me back to the actual site of how it used to look. Whether this will change, not quite sure. To go to the search page, I'm going to go here, and I can go and I can conduct my search as I usually would. One of the more significant issues with such a big change over like the domain in the returns for the 1901 census, the 1911 census, and any other things that the National Archives have that you can find an index for on a third-party site like Ancestry, Find My Past, or MyHeritage spans from going to, if I go to the 1911 census hint that I had here and added to my tree, and I go to view the record, and usually I can click on this little globe here, and it'll say outside Ancestry. The more you discover, the better. We found a record for you that's located outside of Ancestry, the usual dialog box that you get. But when I click visit site, it says your connection might not be private, so I just proceed here. But it redirects me to the search page here. Now, how long this might take to remedy, or I suppose just depends. But for the meantime, you might be better off searching on the National Archives' website for the time being until such thing is remedied with the third party sites that have said indices. Now, this thing I didn't notice until I had seen a blog post from Claire Bradley as I was editing this, so I had to go back and add this in. Um, I will link Claire's blog post in the description so that you can have a read of this. So I'm not taking credit for this part because Claire had noticed this bit. It has what's called a Soundex search. So if you have a name that's similar sounding like Smith, but could also be spelled like Smythe with an E, or Greensmith, Holroyd Smith, Smithers, Smithick, or Smith Healy, or some other rendition that they have in the search criteria that you have entered, unless you are searching down here and do exact matches only, you will have the option to kind of search similar sounding names or names that might be double barreled or something else, giving you better chance of finding things. So again, credit to Claire Bradley for noticing that part. So what do you think about the new site? That I think is what I found. So what I found, I've shared, and I think I've covered all the new bases. But let me know if I missed something down in the comments. We all learn from each other, so if you've found something that I haven't, let me know down in the comments. What do you think about the change? Do you like it? Do you think it could improve on some things? Or do you absolutely love it? I mean, I really fancy the download the results as a list feature. That I think is a nice touch. So having that will be helpful for me if I'm trying to sift through a load of entries. This was going to be a short one, or as short as I try to make it. So thank you all for watching and hope this helps you. Happy searching.